Our today's topic is chapter number 1 of Goodbye Mr. Chips. आज हम क्वेश्चंस डिस्कस करेंगे इसके कुछ चंद एक क्वेश्चंस हैं. तो सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन है, हु इज़ द राइटर ऑफ द नावल गुड बाय मिस्टर चिप्स? वेरी सिंपल, जेम्स हिल्टन इज़ द राइटर ऑफ नावल गुड बाय मिस्टर चिप्स. Next question, which is also very simple, what was the real name of Mr. Chips? His real name was Mr. Chipping, but his nickname was Mr. Chips. Question number 3, when was Mr. Chips born? Answer is Mr. Chips was born in 1848 and was taken to the Great Exhibition in 1851 as a toddling child. Question number 4 है, where did Mr. Chips live after his retirement? ये important question है. After his retirement, Mr. Chips lived at Mrs. Wickert's house just across the road from the Brookfield school so that he could visit school easily. And question number 5 is, how did Mr. Chips measure his time when he was living at Mrs. Wickert's house? When he was living at Mrs. Wickert's house, Mr. Chips used to measure his time by the signals of the past, just like a sea captain. आपने याद रखना है कि he used to measure the time by signals of past, just like a sea captain. He used to live his life according to the bells of Brookfield. Question number 6 is, what did Mr. Chips used to do in his old age? In his old age, Mr. Chips liked to sit by the fire, drink a cup of tea, and listen to the school bells. He used to read a detective novel at night. Question number 7 is, what did Mr. Chips do before going to bed? जैसे हमने पहले पढ़ा, before going to bed, he used to wind up the clock, put the wire guard in front of the fire. Then he turned out the gas and carried a detective novel to the bed. Who was Dr. Merivale? Dr. Merivale was Mr. Chips' doctor and friend. He visited him every fortnight or so. हर 14 दिनों बाद उसका विजिट करता. He admired him and said that he was fitter than the doctor himself and was going to die a natural death. Question number 9 is, what did he say about Chips' health and what did he advise her when Mr. Chips caught a cold? He admired his health and said that he was fitter than the doctor himself and was going to die a natural death. He advised Mrs. Wickett to take special care of him as it was too cold. Who made a century when Chips came for an interview? When Chips came for the interview, Brookfield was playing a cricket match against Barnhurst, and one of the Barnhurst boys, a chubby little fellow, made a brilliant century. Question number 11 is, why and when did he join Brookfield? Important question है. After teaching a year at Melbury Public School, he joined Brookfield in 1870 because he disliked the previous school as his discipline wasn't good there. Moreover, he has dragged there a good deal. Question number 12 is, briefly explain his preliminary interview with Mr. Weatherby. It was a sunny day in July 1817 when he had his first interview with Mr. Weatherby. The air was full of the sweet smell of flowers. Weatherby said to him, "You are a young man, Mr. Chipping, and Brookfield is an old foundation. Youth and age often combine well." Question number 13 is, what advice did Mr. Weatherby give to Mr. Chips? Weatherby was very fatherly and courteous. He behaved very politely with Chips. He advised him to take a firm attitude from the beginning. That is the secret to maintain discipline in the class. Important question at question number 13. And next is, who was the first boy punished by Mr. Chips at Brookfield? Collie, a red-haired boy, was the first one punished by Chips at Brookfield. He dropped desk lid during the first class of Mr. Chips. Chips punished him by giving him 100 lines to write. Question number 15 is, what did Mr. Chips say to the son of Mr. Coley? Mr. Chips said, your father was the first boy I ever punished when I came here 25 years ago. He deserved it, then you deserved it now. Question number 16, what did Chips say to the third Coley? He said that he was a fine example of inherited traditions. He said that his grandfather was a stupid fellow. His father was not better either, and he was the biggest fool of the lot. Question number 17 is, what was the fashion adopted by Mr. Chips during his youth days? Mr. Chips was fresh complexioned, high collared, and side whiskered young man. This was the old fashion adopted by people in those days.